Come on,
Hello fellow Starcraft 2 player, this is Apache Entertainment. In today's video, we'll take a look at what it's like for Terran to deal with the initial Cyclone push. In this replay, we have two Terran players opening up with a similar build order, which is enabled them to pop out the Cyclone super early at the 4-minute mark, which is basically a barrack, tech lab, factory, lift up the barrack and land the factory onto the tech lab. Now, I want to address to you guys that this is not a build order video. This is basically how Terran can deal with the Cyclone and Alpha version of Legacy of the Void. Yes, Alpha version of Legacy of the Void. This is to give us an idea of what it's like to see, or what we can expect in beta release or official release of Legacy of the Void and the Terran versus Cyclone opening. Alright, so let's get into it. I'm just gonna scan through these build order really quickly and this replay. If you guys want a build order, just let me know. So the Terran open up with the barrack, drop down his first refinery, drop down his second refinery right after this SCV comes out the command center, and then as he wait for the barracks to finishes, he drops down a factory and then pump out marine pumps out, drop down the tech lab finishes, drop down the factory onto the tech lab and start pumping out the Cyclone. Cyclone comes out right at about 4-minute mark. We learned this in Protoss vs Cyclone part 2. Part 2, we find out that the Cyclone timing comes at 4. Part 1, we find out that the Cyclone can come out at 4:40-minute mark or 4:50-minute mark, depending on how the Terran player open up. But as we learned it on part 2, that Cyclone can potentially come out at 4-minute mark or earlier if there's any other ways. To the top, we have the green Terran player doing the similar build order, but a little bit delay on his Cyclone because he decided to open up with the command center while the orange decided to open up with the engineering bay. I have no idea why, but yes, that's what he did. Alright, so in Terran versus Cyclone matchup, we have two Terran players which can deal with Cyclone with their own Cyclone, and let's take a look at how it turns out. So we need to keep in mind that to use the lockdown ability where the Cyclone shoot while running, you have to manually use it and click it on a unit that you want to use it on. So whoever clicks first win, right? Well, in this case, that's not how it turns out. Both Cyclone dies because the projectile. So let's take a look at how these players react to the first initial Cyclone push. If they were to push out with the second Cyclone into the open field like that, then the same result would happen if both players were to be top notch with the micro. So Orange decided to respond by defending his ramp with his second Cyclone. In case of incoming second Cyclone from the green Terran player, he would have free 3 shots onto the Cyclone because ground unit don't have vision to units that are on top of a cliff or whatever it is. Our green Terran player decided to open up with a siege tank medevac harassment as well as the Banshee. If you were the green Terran player and you have Cyclones out, you should be able to defend against any sort of form of harassment like this, as we can see here. Able to push the medevac away with the ability to lock on to air unit and lock on to ground unit, as well as should be able to deal with Banshee because of the early engineering bay placement and the that we saw earlier. Or he could got a starport out earlier and get out the Raven and take care with the Cyclone. Guys, this is part 1 video of how we as Terran player deal with the Cyclone unit that is potentially coming out of Legacy of the Void. In part 2, we'll take a look at what it's like to open up with Bioball against the first initial Cyclone. I'll see you guys in that video and hope you guys learned something in this video. Peace out.
Come on, Apache.